I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me.
Welcome to Millionaire Before 30, where we are on a mission.
That we are, Brent.
That's right.
We're on a mission. We're giving you guys the entire blueprint of how to become a millionaire before 30 years old. I'm Ryan Zolin.
I'm Brent Daniels, Mr. Talk to People, and we are excited. This is a hot topic. Not only that, but we are going to deep dive into the business of a 22-year-old former, you guys went to high school together.
I'm 22.
You went 22-year-old. You guys went to high school together, and you were absolutely crushing it right now. We're going to break all that down, but we're talking about the difference between becoming an entrepreneur out of high school or going to college. Getting a college education, going through that whole system, or going out into the real world and starting to provide value early on. And I think there's a lot of different mental hurdles when you're graduating high school, you're getting out of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, can I go and be successful in business? Should I go to college, get this kind of 4-year buffering to get more life experience, more conversations with adults, more adult type of situations that you get into once you get to, that 21, 22-year-old age. But, it's not the right path for everybody, right? And I think, one interesting thing that I listened to a Gary V podcast this week, and he was talking about how we're so conditioned to every 90 days have a report card. Right? To every 90 days having to be able to perform. So it's really interesting when we get out of that flow of having to, perform every 90 days. How do we go into business and be successful and work every single day and look at the big picture, the big vision, not just getting grades every 90 days? You know what I mean? I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, without a doubt. And let's have a real conversation about how hard that is at 18 years old.
Yeah.
I can tell you, being in high school, and Colby, you could relate to this too, they have the counselors.
By the way, Colby McMahon here.
Colby McMahon. Nice to meet you guys on the air. Good morning.
So at our school, we had the counselors that would be like, okay, this is let's put together a plan.
Yeah.
At 18, 19, dude, you don't know anything.
Right.
How are you expected to go and pick a career and go into college and stick with it?
Right.
What's the statistic that how many times you change your career? Albert, you might know this. It's 3 or 4 times you're going to change.
4 times.
4 times.
Yeah.
And then let's also talk about every time you change the career in your school, how many classes do you have to add or how many classes do you pay for that now don't matter?
Right.
So it's just having to make that kind of decision that soon on.
Let alone most of the time, school is set up to be an employee.
Of course.
Right?
Stay within
100%.
the guidelines, follow the system. It's exactly the blueprint of how to become an employee.
Love it. Colby, talk to me.
Yes, sir.
You graduated high school. What'd you do?
Well, I went to GCU for a year.
Right.
I didn't do very hot at GCU, so I ended up
That's Grand Canyon University.
Grand Canyon University.
Yep.
Yes. So I ended up dropping out a week before my the second semester. The end of the second semester, I ended up going to the most expensive open house I could find. It was $10 million.
Okay.
And I went to the agent and I said, "Hey, I want to sell houses like this. What do I need to do?"
Were you already interested in real estate when you were in college?
Kinda. I just wanted to make money, and I had seen guys making money on Instagram and driving the Ferraris and the whatever, right? Making money.
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, I might as well try real estate. So I met this girl, Laura. She introduced me to her boss, Andrew, who, he was doing $200 million plus a year as an agent in North Scottsdale and Paradise Valley. And all luxury stuff. And so he hired me as an ISA, which is an internal sales associate. I started cold calling for him for a month while I was working on getting my license. And
cold calling who?
Everybody. A lot of the time I was focusing on people that purchased 2010, 2014.
Got it.
And saying, hey, you have equity in your house. Would you consider
in his database or just random?
Random. Yeah,
Wow.
And you're how old? 19?
I was 18, and then I turned 19 a couple months later.
Yeah. So you're 18 years old calling people
Yep.
that bought houses here.
Yeah.
And you're just saying, hey, do you want to sell it? You got a bunch of equity.
Yeah. Well, and I was pretty strategic with it because he did quite a bit of business in these higher price point neighborhoods. So I'm going to these neighborhoods and I'm memorizing what properties he's got on the market, what properties just sold. If we got multiple offers on a property or whatever, I'm saying, hey, we just sold this property in your neighborhood. Would you you've got a ton of equity.
Just listen, just sold
just
calls.
listen.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I guess it was kind of a mixture between, all right, you guys have equity and we've got.
But wait. Let's go way back. So why would you go into a $10 million open house?
I wanted to expedite the process. I mean, why?
It's a great point to bring up, though, because a lot of people, I mean, we always talk about discounting yourself and finding the guy that's doing the life that you want. You went to the most expensive open house you could find and said, hello, I want to do this. You're clearly doing what I want.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I mean, I put on a persona. I suited up, right? I went in there and I was just confident. I went on my 2006 Honda Accord, pulled up to this house, and I mean, I was reading books. I was super interested in business and growing myself, and I figured
in high school.
No, in literally 6 months in college.
Yeah.
And I'm a fairly fast learner, I suppose.
Sure.
So I'm like
you and
obsessive.
Albert. By the way, Albert, say hello to everybody. Sorry,
hello,
buddy.
everybody. Happy Thursday.
There it is. All right.
And I obsess over things. So if there's something I'm interested in, I will kind of go all in on it.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? I mean, if
you're just studying, looking at people, finding people.
Yeah.
Who do I talk to? Who can I connect with?
Yeah, 100%.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's
but it's simple.
It's simple.
A lot of people there's a big like bubble of I need to protect myself. I don't want to sound stupid. I don't know if I can provide
fear.
value. It is fear.
Yeah, it's fear. You just got to be confident in yourself,
right?
Yep.
And that's
but how
it.
do you build that confidence? Is that something you grew up with?
Not at all. I mean, I didn't really have a choice. I mean, I didn't have much security when I was growing up.
Okay.
So I kind of had to find it in myself, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just found it by taking action, by believing in yourself, by affirmations, by
all the
surrounding
above.
yourself with people that are doing cool stuff.
All the above.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, so a little backstory. So I grew up. I was born in Vermont. I moved here when I was 10. My parents were divorced. Moved here with my mom and stepdad, and went to Benjamin Franklin Charter School. It was like a charter school.
Yeah,
I didn't really get along with a lot of the kids.
Yep.
And then I went to Perry High School.
Yep.
So that's where Ryan and I both went. My sophomore year, going into junior year, my dad and my grandpa passed away.
Oh, geez.
So that kind of screwed with my head. And then
Yeah.
junior year, I was drinking and smoking and just doing a lot of stuff that wasn't good for me, hanging out with the wrong people.
Right.
And senior year, I got a panic attack. It was fall break, senior year. And after that moment, I couldn't drive for 6 months. It was insane. I didn't know what was going on.
You had a panic attack in a car?
In a car, I was driving.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And so that's where I got really obsessive. I mean, after that, I stopped hanging. I cold turkey stopped doing any substance, anything.
Wow.
And I ended up getting obsessive over health and trying to figure out what the heck's going on in my head. How do I fix it? And then I just wanted to feel better.
Yeah.
You know? And so I was meditating every day. I was reading, I was journaling, affirmations were huge.
Mm-hmm.
Just every single thing you can think of that was a self-help. That's even self-help book or whatever, the self-help
self-development.
Self-development.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started interested in just my health. I get to GCU. I met some awesome people. They're all entrepreneurial spirits or whatever, trying to start their own clothing companies and stuff. And so I was just super interested in business. And so I didn't really know what to do. My panic attack started getting worse again, towards the end of my freshman year. And so that's when I was like, you know what, I need to do something different. I'm going to fail these classes. I don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
My mom doesn't have any money.
Yep.
It's I'm either going to go in debt or have to go work a ton to pay off the.
Sure.
It just doesn't really make sense for me to move forward in
Right.
school. It was what I felt. So that's when I ended up going to this open house, and it ended up working out really well because I started on that team. He was obsessive. The team leader. He was obsessive over affirmations and being positive and just everything that I believed in as well,
Sure.
which was
Perfect
really
role
positive.
model. Yep.
Yeah, perfect role model.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect role model. And
There's no perfect role model.
Yeah,
Let me tell you this right now. There's no perfect role models.
Oh my gosh.
Any teen, I
I
feel
can
like
attest to
you
that.
need to be around good people.
Yeah.
That's what I'll correct myself.
Well, no, listen. I think that, so our brains control everything, right? It's all wild. It can either destroy or it can create, and it just depends on what outlet you put it towards. It just depends on what you want to accomplish and if you want to accomplish, right? Sometimes we hold ourselves back, or we feel like we're not good enough, or we feel like we're living in the past too much, or we're making up. Sometimes when tragedy strikes, we start replaying these things over and over and over, and then it starts morphing and turning and evolving into some sort of shadow that's hanging over us, and we have to do positive things to get that to get past that. And I find the best way to do that is go and provide as much value to the marketplace, to the community. Keep that wild. See, it's a blessing and a curse, because you've got that brain that's always going.
Yeah.
And so does everybody that's watching this.
Yeah.
Everybody nobody that's watching Millionaire Before 30 is like, well, I just want to stock shelves at the grocery store for a while, live a nice humble life, and whatever else. Everybody has this ambition to do something amazing. Well, the amazing thing that we do is provide value to the community, and that calms down a lot of our crazy brains. I get it. I got this crazy brain, right? Just always going, always on, and it's just a different type of brain. That's why I say people are just born with different type of brains, and you've got that.
And I think intention behind that activity is very important. Like in authenticity, because I think that's why I did pretty well starting out, because I'm calling like $4 million houses, $3 million people that own these houses. I'm just like, hey, like I believe that I'm gonna work harder than anybody else to sell this house.
Right.
Yep.
And I felt confident. I had the team supporting me. Right. It's like I think that's why I was able to do that, and that's why I propelled me pretty quickly.
And real quick, kind of give people, we're 13 minutes in, give people your stats of where you're at now. You've got 7 luxury flips going on.
7 luxury flips.
About how many millions of dollars in property are you flipping right now?
ARV probably 9-10 million.
Right, $10 million, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You've got how many units? Rentals?
11.
11
I just
units?
closed on 10 yesterday, so I have a rental in Phoenix, and then just closed on 10 units yesterday, which is part of a bigger portfolio we're working on purchasing as well.
Right. What else you got going on?
We bought a flip together.
Yeah, we're closing on that flip.
Yep. Us
On
with
the 10.
Albert, and then Colby's partner Nick.
Yep, my business partner.
From that $10 million in flips, what do you think net to you're going to take home to yourself in your bank account?
Profit?
Yes.
Profit.
Just from this cycle, I assume this is probably a 90-day cycle of this $10 million that you're going through.
Typically, these are going to take a little longer because they're more. Some of them are more expensive rehabs, or they'll sit a little longer. Like one of my properties, I have listed at 1.6. It's been on the market for like 2.5 months. Just kind of like, it's more of a niche buyer.
Yeah.
When you get in these higher price points, it's a kind of a particular buyer. But like net, I'd say probably 400.
Right. And you do that twice a year?
Yeah, plus my other stuff, like agency. I have an agency deal closing for 900 tomorrow. That's just a warehouse for a buddy, and then I have
just a warehouse.
Right.
yeah, and then I have
guys, 22 years old. Like, how many years into this? 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Just over 3.
So 36 months. I mean, that's bananas. That's extreme. I mean, that coming from. I mean, it's not like you had people that were like, hey, here's all the deals. Right. Here's all the money. Yep. You've had to raise all this. You've had to go out and make all this. Right?
Yeah. So let me give you a funny story. The guy I purchased these 10 units with. So we have a 50-50 partnership, and we're looking to basically build a large portfolio of single family or small multifamily residential rentals. So that's what these 11 properties are, is us 50-50. So I met him. He just exited his company. It was like a commercial real estate fund worth, they had like $1.5 billion under management.
Yeah.
He just exited, started his own little capital company. He's got a couple partners, like younger guys, two 26-year-olds. They have a triple net industrial company, and like they own some Sonics or whatever. So I was reading How to Win in Commercial Real Estate by Craig Coppola.
Yeah.
It was a Rich Dad Poor Dad library book.
Yeah.
And I realized this guy, Craig, lives in Phoenix. And so I looked up his office and found his phone number. I called him and left a message. A week later.
I love this. I love it. I mean, keep going.
So the message was, hey, man, I have some off-market multifamily stuff I want to try to syndicate. I can get money. I just don't know what I'm doing. So I was like, I need like a mentor or someone that I can partner with on these deals. So he calls me back a week later. He's like, I don't do any of that stuff, but my buddy Gary might be able to. And so Gary calls me 20 minutes later. We talked for 30 minutes on the phone. He's like, hey, come into my office. We sat down for an hour, talked. He was like mentor. So this was probably 8 or 9 months ago. He's been mentoring me. He was mentoring me for 6 months. And then it's like, hey, let's buy rentals. So we kind of were having that conversation. How can we work together? We talked about a real estate, like debt fund, like hard money loans, stuff like that.
Do you know what really wealthy people love? Hungry people.
Yeah.
Hungry, ambitious, driven, stars in their eyes, fire in their belly people that are going to go out and do all the dirty work, go out and source the opportunities, build the relationships, work with the emotions of the property owners, find the deal, and then they're the money guy. Right? And they just make sure that you don't go after properties that they have no interest in.
100%.
Or you shouldn't have interest in.
And at this point, he trusts my judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after we flipped out a one right away. We bought 2 rentals at the same time, both by by Grand Canyon University, and one of them we got an offer for like $70,000 more than we paid for it. We didn't do anything to it. My contractor bought it from us. All right, cool. Yeah. And so we ended up selling that one, but we kept this other one as a rental because the tenant wanted the same place. Sure. And we got him up like $700 a month in rent. So
there you go.
Yeah, it's cool.
So what's the big goal? Is it syndication? Is it building? Is it developing? Is it being the bank? Like,
I think all of the above. Like I look at it from you can have your umbrella, right? And then it's all about the people you have in place working with you to help scale. So I have 3 guys that are agents that work for me. I have one guy on salary that just follows up with the VA leads, and then I've got 3 VAs in the Philippines. So I'm training these guys. One of them is really crushing it in particular, and he's the one that found these 10 units.
John, right?
John, yeah.
Yeah, give him a shout out.
John Abbott at
John Abbott.
Instagram, but John Abbott. And awesome kid. They're all awesome. Yep. But he's just had some more success financially and deal wise. And he's kind of taking charge in a lot of the like training of the guys because he knows contracts now. And for me to go sit down for an hour and explain how to write a contract just makes me want to lose my mind, you know? Yeah. So I think it's about getting the right people, and that allows you to scale. Yep. In different ways. Like I love.
Well, the biggest return on investment that you're going to ever get in life is going to be your people. Right? It's just the truth. I mean, I'm not just talking like emotional. I'm not talking about culture. I'm not talking about buddy. We're like love each other and we're having hang out and have Christmas parties. No, we're talking about actual financial return. Yeah. When you're bringing somebody on, smart entrepreneurs look and Alejandro and I had this conversation this morning. 1 to 7, 1 to 8. You pay him $100,000, you want $700,000-800,000 of productivity out of these people. And if you're not in a position to get that, then hold off, right? Like you need to put them in a position to win as well. You are financially responsible for these people, and that's a big responsibility.
It is.
It really is. So
it's hard. It's hard to juggle all the things that I'm doing and like personally doing in addition to helping train these guys and make sure that they're successful. And
that's what allows you to take the next steps and go and do the investments. And like you couldn't do everything at 100% capacity if it was just you. So
I know it's such a interesting dynamic. I mean, it's just because and a lot of times you don't see success really in training these guys for a while because they're in their green phase.
Well, there's a learning curve.
There's a learning
sure.
curve,
And then
yeah.
there's also experience, and then there's also helping them get into flow state with what they do, you know, where it's automatic, where it's going, and it's smooth, and they're not overthinking, and they're not challenged by, you know, everyday activities that you're throwing them through, and that it takes some time to do that.
I know.
You know, it really does. So guys, remember, this is a question and answer show. We go for 90 minutes. The first 20, 30 minutes is us talking, like getting everybody warmed up, and as you have some questions, make sure that you're submitting them. We are going to get to them, and make sure that if you have any celebrations this week, if you've locked up a deal, we want to celebrate you. If you've got something going on, we definitely want to ring this bell right here and recognize all your efforts. So make sure that you guys are posting in the comments. Make sure, listen, if you guys are wondering, what is his schedule? Or if you're wondering, how do you manage all these different things? If you're wondering, you know, oh, well, I'm thinking about college, but, you know, I'm thinking about starting something, and what should I do? All of these things, make sure that you're putting in the comments. We're going to get to it over the next. Take advantage, guys. I mean, this is going to be just an unbelievable show, so take advantage. We're here to answer the questions. That's the biggest part of it. We just warm up so that everybody's going and flowing and coming up with questions that maybe you weren't thinking about before we started the show. That's the point of the beginning of the show. So awesome.
Deal.
So what is the big goal? Is it opening? Go ahead.
I like the private equity space.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of, and I think, I don't know. I feel
What
like
does that mean? I don't know what that means. What does private equity mean?
So like, I mean, like being a hedge fund, like it's basically like syndicating, but like you have a fund where it's like you can get like institutional partners.
Okay.
And so that's why.
What's institutional partners? What does that mean?
Like big corporations or big hedge funds that have, or like pensions or whatever, they have money that they can allocate towards investments.
Okay. Yep. Is this banks?
It can be like hedge funds. It can be like Blackstones of the world, the big. That's a private equity firm, like other private equity type firms.
Well, private equity firms kind of take the money from a bunch of wealthy people, right, and just make sure that money stays protected and grows.
Yeah, so
that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, and they'll take it, but they take it from. It's super interesting. It's such like a crazy. So they'll take it from very wealthy families. They'll take it from pensions. Other banks, pensions, like everything. Yeah, exactly. So that's I like that.
Any pool of money that's just sitting there, and they don't want to put it into the market, the stock market,
right?
And they don't want to keep it in a bank. Where do they put it? And this ebbs and flows based on inflation.
Yep.
And because a lot of people are expecting inflation to go up, right? When money gets printed more, like $2 trillion for the pandemic, the value of money goes down. And that's inflation. That means that $10 doesn't get you as much as $10 used to, right? And usually it ticks up about 1-2% a year, but they're expecting maybe 4-5%, which will affect things. So a lot of people are going, hey, listen, to protect against this, we need to put it into real estate. Yeah. That's why we see all these hedge funds buying up properties right now, because they're going to hold these for 10 years, whether any kind of storm that may come, not a huge storm, not an economic collapse, but just something that's a storm, and keep profits, get rental income coming in. It's a beautiful strategy.
Yeah. So that's
I want to do that
for now. Yeah, for now, that's basically I want to be one of those hedge funds. I mean, yeah.
Why not?
I mean, there's no. What I love about real estate, there's no limit.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Like you can do whatever you want to do. It's just having the right network and having the competency to and energy to in deal sourcing.
Well, how do you get the right network?
I just talk. I don't. You just talk to. Oh, talk to people. You wanted me to say?
No, I'm just saying. Listen, it's fundamental, and I know a lot of people think talking to people is just picking up and cold calling distressed property owners. It's picking up the phone and calling anybody. It's walking into an open house with a suit on and some confidence that you've bolstered through just getting yourself, what, this is my vision. This is the first step towards it. I'm gonna walk into a $10 million house and talk to this agent. And it just happened that this agent was able to connect you, and then connect, and then connect, and then connect. It is all about not just staying in your shell in your house with the blinds down, hoping and praying that something falls into your lap. It's going and being proactive and reaching out, right?
100%.
I mean, that's everything in my life has happened because I just was brave enough to talk to a stranger.
Yeah, 100%. My life is gonna dramatically change, I think, because of this relationship with the partner I'm buying these units
with. Of course.
I am 100%. And he looks at me the other day. He's like, Colby, I'm going to get you to $100 million. Don't worry.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool.
There
Let's
you go.
do it.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the mentor you want right there.
Right.
So let's start cracking this thing open for any comments, any celebrations, Alejandro. Let's get this rolling. Are we good? Do we need to keep talking, or we got some stuff that we can talk about? Okay, let's go.
Stuff.
Chirp time. I'm a college dropout, and I recently closed my first wholesale deal for $42,000. Are you kidding me? Come on, Chirp. Are you kidding me? That is unbelievable. $42,000. I remember the first time I closed a $42,000 deal. I my guts got all watery. I was standing in as soon as I got the check, I had like goosebumps. My wife was looking at me. I went pale, and in my mind I was like, "Holy cow!" Like it broke my brain.
Yeah.
It like literally broke my brain because I was like I was in a lot of debt. I had to like fight and claw my way out. I had to do a lot of stuff I did not want to do, did not feel great doing, but it finally like moved the needle forward. I had to talk to a lot of people to get to this, and I got that $42,000 check, and I was like, oh, can I do this again? And what is going on? My wife's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is, no big deal. Like, just go. And I was like, okay, and it snapped out, but it broke my brain. I'm telling you, those big checks break your brain, and then you're like, oh my gosh. I need to get a $50,000. I need to get $100,000. I need to do $1 million deal.
Yeah.
Like profit.
Yeah.
I mean, that is awesome.
Didn't you do $1 million deal with Ricky?
Yeah. I didn't make $1 million, but we had a $1 million deal. Yeah. It was a big.
Talk about that deal really fast.
It was a big.
I feel like it's a good one.
Paradise. It was almost $1 million. It was a big Paradise Valley flip. So we bought it for like 2.3. We didn't really do much to it and sold it for 3.2. So that was a good deal.
What'd you net on it?
The net was $500,000.
Yeah.
But the closing costs and commissions on that are stupid.
Yeah.
And then we did put a bid into it.
Yeah.
So
then you guys split the $500,000?
It was 70-30 because I didn't put up any cash on that one.
So your 30 was 150,000 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then
how'd that feel?
Good.
When that hit your account?
Feels good. Yeah.
Was it expected? I feel like you're like, yeah, it's fine. I expected it.
He's thinking about the next 150.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's like,
but Colby, I think here's what I'm hearing, right? Your bravado is what young people need to understand. It's you're expecting to win, so it's not a surprise to you when you do get these big checks because you've been expecting it this whole time. So in your brain, this book what I'm thinking came from Ryan Serhant, right? One of his books. When you're dealing with billionaires and millionaires, money doesn't excite them anymore because they have so much of it. They're already moving on to the next thing. They're thinking about providing value because that's what excites them, something fun, because money's so boring to them. And I feel like your bravado that I'm feeling as you're telling these stories is, it's a $150,000 check to some of us starting out. It's like, my God, that's so much, right? That's like, how do you do that? But to you doing so masterful at this craft of luxury flips, you're like, this is how I deal. This is my world. It's like you're normal as some people's like, whoa, but you're expecting to win.
Yeah, I feel like you can have a bad relationship with money if you're just there for the checks.
Yep.
Especially like I get excited. It's like, all right, cool. Like my bank account grew.
I literally pay my mortgage. I'm like, can stay another month. Because every day I wake up, I'm broke. I'm like, okay, like how do I go and make $10,000 today?
Yep.
Like,
I 100%.
Listen to this, and I pulled this up specifically. Top 10%, 201,000. That's top 10
in the world.
Top 10%, $201,000 a year. That's the top 10% income earners. Top 5% is $273,000. To be in the top 1% is $504,420. Right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And you chipped away, like you almost got top 10% in one deal.
That's pretty cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
It's incredible. Here we go. Let's keep this thing rolling. Mac, on the most recent episode of Wholesaling Inc., I heard your prospector is hand dialing 50 to 60 leads per day. Yeah. How come? I'm using a triple line dialer and way more daily volume without results. Doing it wrong. Mac, that is not my, the hand dialing is done by my junior acquisition manager. So these are leads that are already been cold called. So if we're going to call somebody, we use the batch dialer. It's efficient. It lets us call a lot more people, lets us connect with a lot more people more more people at the top of the funnel means more deals at the bottom of the funnel. So what happens is they come in, my junior acquisition manager, Chad, pre-qualifies them based on the condition, their timeline to sell, their motivation to sell, and their price. And then once their timing is lined up, then he'll get it to my acquisition manager, which then closes the deal. The problem I was having is my acquisition managers were getting too busy. There's too many leads in their world, and it was hiding the best leads. And so I needed a filter there from cold call. So it's every property, and then it's the people we talk to, then it's the leads, and then it's the pre-qualified, goes to my junior acquisition manager, and then my acquisition manager gets the hot, ready-to-go leads, and he goes and does his job of closing those opportunities. So it's not the cold callers, it's the junior acquisition manager. And if you want a little bit more deep dive, I would look into the live that we did, breaking down my team on how to scale your business. There you go. Boom. Nicole.
Right, from Nicole. Hey guys, thanks so much for time. When submitting offers on the MLS, does the realtor need to specify that the contract will be assigned? I can tell you for Arizona, it does not need to be specified because every contract will be assignable. I see a lot of people put on there like and or assignee. Personally, when I put that on a contract, realtors actually they'll ask to be like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. So that's why we don't put it on ours. But
and the ones that have been burned once,
they know
will reject your offer.
Yep.
They will say, nope, I know what's going on now.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, realtors in this market that get multiple opportunities to sell the deal, and you're trying to, freshen up and smell good and look good and present your offer that gets accepted. If they've already been shocked by another wholesaler that has backed out, they're going to throw yours to the trash can.
For sure.
So, Nicole, and you just talk to an attorney or talk to a title, the in-house counsel, the in-house attorney for a title company, and just say, hey, do I need to have this on my purchase contract in this country, not just this state? If the contracts say that it doesn't specify that it's not assignable, you should be able to assign it. Just double check on that. I'm not an attorney, obviously. Let's invest. All right, let's do it.
Who are you?
My name is Colby McMahon.
22-year-old luxury house flipper, portfolio builder, and soon-to-be top hedge fund owner, manager / conqueror of funds. There you go.
All right,
that's
I'll
Colby
do that.
McMahon.
I'll do
How's
that?
that? Put that on your Instagram
bio.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
Under the entrepreneur.
Of course.
Picking up a $17,400 now land deal. Yeah, through True People search. You gangster, Dominic. Do you know how much profit you're gonna have? You're gonna have $17,399 of profit in that deal. Oh my gosh! Congratulations. Celebrate that. $17,400. Incredible. Now, Dominic, let's add a zero to that. Or at least let's get it to 50. Let's push to 50. We find what we're looking for, so we might as well be looking for massive deals. And massive deals on this channel mean 50K plus. So let's get after it. But congratulations, the wind's behind your back. Keep it going. Keep the momentum going. Just don't stop what you're doing now to how you got that deal, right?
No vacation yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Jason.
All right. I'm currently in college but feel very unmotivated. I told myself I'd unenroll when I get a deal or two closed. It's been hard managing my time. Any advice for someone in this position? Colby, what would you offer as advice?
I feel, it is tedious. Like the real estate industry, especially when you're starting off, like you haven't done a deal, you don't feel that confidence that you once you get a couple deals closed.
You're working off of faith.
You're working off of
fact,
faith,
right?
Yeah.
Right? And you might have proof of concept for like one or two people,
but not yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't know if this is. I would almost say go find someone that is doing what you want to do, and go work part-time for them so that you can understand, okay, this is really what it takes to get a deal closed.
Yep.
that's my thought. 'Cause that's basically what I did. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna go find someone that's doing it at an extremely high level, and I'm gonna learn from them and provide value to them, so that I can get their expertise and grow. So
I think that's a big nugget there too.
Yeah.
You provide value. You don't just come in and say, teach me everything you know.
Yeah.
Because those guys that are where you want to be, they don't have time to stop the train.
100%. And they're not
Albert,
going to.
what about you? You are always finding angles. You're always flipping stuff. You're always like, I feel like when it comes, we have 168 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like 167 of those, you're like coming up with some sort of plan to
the furniture auction's tomorrow, and I already know what I'm going to buy.
Right.
But I'm reading this, right? And I see it. I think the benchmark is set wrong for you, my friend. I see that you're going to unenroll when you get a deal closed, when you're already unmotivated. So what happens when you close the deal? Then what's your next motivation? You know what I mean? So I would back yourself up and really think, like, why did you go to college in the first place? For me, I went to college because that's what my parents taught me to do.
Right.
You know, being a first-generation American, they came here for my brother and I to have the American dream. Hence, I followed the social structure. So if you're in college because someone else told you, I would do an audit to see, why did you go to college in the first place? Is it something that you really wanted to learn that the internet and YouTube can't really provide you? Why did you go? What's it costing you? And to manage your time, it's doing a time audit. How many times are you scrolling on Instagram? What's the first thing that you do in the morning? Are you going to the gym? What are you doing? How about your class schedule? How much time are you doing it? There's so much things you can do to identify what's really your big problem first. Then go back and say, all right, think about it. When you get a deal closed, then you unenroll, then what? What's your next motivation? So it's really going back to getting that spirit alive again, lighting that fire in you, and going again. And that can be as simple as, go join a club in college. Find some new like-minded people to, oh my gosh, there's real estate clubs in college all over. I don't know which college you're at, Jason, but go into college, talk about like, hey, I watch Brent Daniels here. He's talking about wholesaling. Anyone familiar with this?
Yep.
And you'd be surprised how many other people, and they're like, oh my gosh, I watched that too.
Or even if they're not familiar with it, the ones that would be interested.
Interested. It's like, oh, something else for the club.
Relationship. You guys go through that together. You're in that journey.
Yep, talking to people. But there's nothing to get you motivated, right? It's doing something first to gain that motivation, and then that awesome cycle keeps going. So find something, accomplish it, and keep moving that cycle.
Love it. Nada Bulu. Nadambulu. There you go. Nadambulu. There you go. Any tips on finding, sorry I butchered that. Any tips on finding buyers and closing deals?
Finding buyers. I mean, so it depends on the state, obviously.
Yep.
But for us out here, I like to go through tax records or the MLS, find the cash transactions that have been done, skip trace the LLCs, and call them. Odds are if they own multiple properties, they're probably looking to buy another one. And if they don't, and they own multiple properties, ask them if they want to sell. No, that's not the question, but
Who do you sell your deals to? Because you've been wholesaling as well.
Yeah, I have friends or buyers that I know, but
you don't have a buyer's list though, right?
I don't really have.
Yep.
I have
It's like
my
me.
cell
Same thing.
phone.
Yep.
I'll text people, hey, I got this
20
deal.
people. Yep.
But it's like as long as it's a deal,
Yeah.
you can sell it. It's
Yeah.
just go hit up someone on Instagram that sells deals,
Right.
or go. I have a couple guys that I can send deals to. Say, hey, I need help selling this. You know the right people. You know the whatever, right? And I'm not as concerned with the buyers at all.
No.
Because worst case, I'll just buy it. But I just sourcing good deals, you're gonna be able to sell it.
Well, you made a great point there. Like having the confidence that you could close them yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I tell everybody that's getting into wholesale, find somebody that is your money partner.
Right.
And go and tell them, listen, I am going and I am fighting tooth and nail. I'm picking up the phone. I'm knocking on doors. I'm reaching out to everybody. I'm going to find opportunities. When I do, I need help buying them. Will you be my financial partner? And I think if you go with that and you're constantly communicating with these people, it's not just, I'll look at whatever deals you have. Okay, great. And then you just keep the communication open. I assume that's what you do really well. You're keeping the communication open with these people as you're connecting, and you're like, what do you think about this? What is this? How's this? Right? You're testing, and seeing, where is the path of an actual deal? Okay, there it is. Now you're focused. Now you go find more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right?
100%. And a lot of these people I'm building like friendships with.
Yeah,
and that's
of course.
we're all like-minded. It's like I feel like everybody in we all have similar energy, a lot of us, right? We all have that personality, so we can get along pretty well. And that's just what I've learned is like, it's going to be really easy to connect with most real estate people.
Yeah. I also like, Nanambulu, I like I like going after real estate agents that are flipping properties currently. So I would just go on Zillow and any of the area zip codes, whatever, that you lock up a deal, and just reach out to them and tell them, I love the product that you put out. I love the flip that you've done. I've got another off-market property that needs some love, and was just wondering if you do the remodeling or you got somebody else that's doing the fix-up, and start that relationship, go down, pull that on that thread, and see, this could be, one of the biggest buyers in your town.
Yeah.
This could be the agent to one of the biggest investors in the town.
Absolutely.
This is just like your story of calling up the guy, leaving a message. It's a week later, and he's like, I don't do this. Like, I'm writing books and crushing and doing, other stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just not what he's focused on right now.
Yep.
But this other guy will.
Yep.
I mean, that was from one call.
And
you've got your financial partner.
Yep.
It
Right?
changed my life. Yeah.
$100
It will.
million.
Yeah.
I am telling you, it is not. If you go and you know that you're here's the issue. The issue is people aren't taking enough action, that they're not confident that they can provide value to these people that have extreme wealth. That's it. If you're out there hustling and you're in that zone and you're finding opportunities and you just need money, you will find money.
Absolutely.
If you go in with energy, confidence,
Yes.
and competency,
Yeah.
you can get as much money as you need.
Yeah.
I mean, is what I found. It's like, if you're finding good deals,
the money will follow.
the money will follow, and you just need to build that trust.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jose, how do you comp multifamily properties when there hasn't been any recent sales of similar properties? Who wants to take it?
What do you got? You just bought multifamily?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I mean, there's going to be different markets have different cap rates in different areas. It's a challenging question because it's like it really depends on what you want the return to be at that point, right? I mean, you're gonna look at, okay, what's a typical cap rate in your zip code? I'm sure there's some recent sales. Maybe it's off MLS. Maybe it's whatever. Go to LoopNet or go to the Monsoon tax records and say
PropStream.
PropStream, okay, and say these are some of the recent properties that may even be farther out. Just find similar assets and figure out what those cap rates are. And I would try to get the cap rate to that similar or higher than that.
What's a good cap rate?
I mean, I try to get a 7 on I mean, these properties at the 10 units were over a 7 stabilized.
Yeah.
But hedge funds are buying 4s.
Right.
Right.
It's like
Listen, Jose, I'm going to have a much simpler answer. As low as possible. That's it. I mean, honestly, first of all, you got to find out what their expectations are.
Yeah.
You got to see what they're getting in rents. You got to see kind of what is the rental rate in that area. If it was fixed up, is it upcoming? Is it not? But really, you got to pull the price out of them first. If it sounds like it's too good to be true, lock it up. You know what I mean? Like this whole thing where we're trying to fit it in and analyze things before we know the seller's number. If they won't give you a number, then throw something crazy out. I mean, whatever it is, and just see what their bottom line is.
Right.
And then go talk to people that buy multifamily properties and say, hey, listen, I've got this deal and it's in this area. What typically are you paying per door? Right? That's kind of the language per door. What are you paying? Or, for a triplex, for a fourplex, whatever else, what are you looking at? What would be a good price for you? And let me work backwards. So I would look at whoever's buying those properties, and you can meet them at real estate investor associations, meetup groups like these guys put on, anything like that. Anybody that's buying multifamily, reach out to them. Or LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a ton of people that are real estate investors, multifamily expert, the whole thing in your area, and call them up and just say, hey, listen, what are you buying? What are you looking for? I'd love to find you deals. And then that's going to be your best education. You know what I mean? I mean, working cap rates is fantastic, and they might tell you those things. But
that's just typically how, I mean.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I just, I think he's looking from a wholesale standpoint.
Okay.
How do I lock up these deals and sell them to people like you and make them, you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
Awesome. There we go, Rogelio. How do you find LLC buyers contact for here in California?
Ooh.
I would go to your the corporation commission. Actually, there's a lot of online sources that if you just Google the LLC, typically there's different resources that pop up that show you who their managing members are and what their address, the mailing address for the LLC. That's all public information. I don't know about California. Maybe California is different. Maybe it's tougher. But that's how we do it around the country. You got something, Albert?
It's honestly amazing what you can find on Google.
Right.
But usually what I found lucky here in Arizona anyway is when the LLC is on, there's a mailing address. Sometimes I Google the mailing address and it's usually at a business complex, and I'll find the business complex, and I'll find the business that's there, the number, and I'll just toss that LLC out. Sometimes I've Googled the LLC itself. And Google's good at this. It will find where that LLC name pops up, and you'll never believe how many things that it's associated with, and half the time I'm finding exactly what I need to. Just plugging it in.
A lot of the times where it's like an LLC that's the managing member, it's an attorney. So you can, and we have called them up and said, hey, I know that you represent these people. I just want to leave a message. You guys can pass it along if you want to or not. But I have a great opportunity for the owner of this company. We've got a great reputation. If you'd like to pass it along, if they have any interest, please have them call me. My number is blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Now, if it gets passed on, it gets passed on. But for the most part, attorneys want to, cover their ass. If anything kind of happens, so they'll pass it on and let the client make the decision if they want to pursue it. So it's a good avenue there. I want to see how much that check is, Rogelio. That looks cool.
All right, from Jonathan. What are some great closing lines that don't sound like you are rushing them? Ooh, Albert.
So help me out here, guys. Are we closing? Like
closing a deal, locking up
closing
a deal,
like
getting any deal, whether it's going to be
$110,000.
It's conversion, right? So 3 parts of the real estate business: lead generation, conversion of those leads, and exit strategy. Exit strategy: you're either flipping, you're wholesaling, or you're holding. That's it, right? That's your exit strategies. So in that middle conversion, it doesn't really matter what the exit strategy is. How does he lock up more deals? How does he get more deals under contract?
Well, I feel like at that point, if you're closing it, it seems like all the bullet points have met the seller's needs, right? If you're asking them to close, you just get to the point. Just ask them. It sounds like I've covered everything that meet your criteria. Can we get this thing done? Everything sounds like a fair deal to you. When would you like to close?
Yep.
And it's one of the things that I learned with all the resources I read is a lot of agents, a lot of people like us, they don't ask for the close when the seller is ready to close. Right? They like the price is right, the time is right, the condition, the convenience, like, oh, fantastic. But we talk ourselves out of the deal because we didn't ask for the close. So and there's nothing they're not being rushed out of it. It's just, hey, this is the next step. Are you ready to close? Sounds like I've checked off everything that you wanted. Sounds like I'm the guy to close the deal for you. Can we make this happen? When would you like this to happen?
I love the okay, so we're good on the price, right? You're happy here. We're good on the terms. Yeah, everything's good there. Okay, you want to work with me? Okay, great. What's the next step? Oh, well, put together the purchase agreement. Okay, great. Yeah, here it is. Here you go, and there you go. Okay, perfect. Right? It's their idea at that point.
Absolutely. The only other one I'd add in would be stay on their line, but you could very well say to them, you probably wouldn't be willing to sign this contract today.
All right.
Then they're going to say, well, why wouldn't I? Or they're going to say, yeah, absolutely, I'll sign. Or they'll say, no, you're right. How about come back in a week? You get the next step by getting that question out.
Yeah, Jonathan, you don't rush them if you've pre-qualified them. If you know the condition, timeline, motivation, price, if you understand the price and terms that they want to work within. So really the only thing is, do they want to work with you at that point? And I think that if you go with confidence, if you go with likability, if you go with certainty in your ability to perform on this purchase agreement, it's the natural progression is the closing. The natural progression is them committing to working with you. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think another thing is, like, kind of like what we talked about before is authenticity. Like I go into meeting with sellers as if I don't need this deal. It's like I'm here to provide value, and if you don't work with me, fine. It's like I really don't care.
I've got 5 others.
I've got five others, but I know that I'm gonna provide the most amount of value, more than anybody else. That's just I'm that confident in myself.
Good.
So that's something else. That's what I feel when I go into these properties.
Right.
Change
good brands. How do you negotiate getting someone to show you a property who wants you to buy without looking at it? I love it.
That's a good question. So, I mean, we buy most of our properties sight unseen. However,
yours are on the MLS.
MLS, yeah.
So you get all the pictures and you see everything.
That's what I was just going to say.
Right.
So, I mean, like, we have the ability to see ours. I would say if you're, like, trying to, I would almost take the mentality of what Colby just said. I don't need to buy this house. I want to. And so if one of your criteria of your buyer or of yourself, if you're the buyer, is that you have to see the property, move on to the next deal if you can't see it. That would be what I would offer. But, again, my strategy is mostly the MLS.
Yeah.
So, do you have any
if it's a good enough deal, lock it up, and you'll be able
then
to
go
sell
see
it.
if you have
and then
or
be like, hey, if I can get you this price,
Yeah.
or this is my price, sight unseen. I would just underwrite it as if it needs to be rebuilt, basically.
Yeah, I think that I'd like to peel that onion a little bit and find out why they don't want you to see it. I'd say 90% of the time it's because they don't want to disrupt their tenants. Right? By we're selling the property, and then they think that the tenants are not going to pay them, or they're going to beat up the property or sabotage the deal or be mad at them or whatever else. So I'd just find out. I would say, is there why can't I see the property? Why can't I get in there, take some pictures and see what the actual condition? I can give you a better price if I can see it. If I can't see it, then I'm going to have to assume that everything needs to be rehabbed, which means the price is going to be lower. So what do you prefer? I can give you this offer right here, or if I see it, maybe I can get you a little bit more. I can't guarantee that, but I'd love to get you as much as possible.
Love it.
Yeah.
Deal.
And I had my acquisition manager on the show, our live show yesterday, and he was talking about how he goes through and he goes, okay, why don't we sit down before he goes to the house? Why don't we sit down and just tell me what your goal for the property is? Obviously, getting the most that you can for sure, but what else? Right?
Yeah.
So one, he diffuses the whole,
Dang.
I want to get top dollar. Two, he goes into the goals so he can really see if we can provide value.
Yeah.
Right? Because it might be better for them to go retail. It might be better for them to clean it up and just put another renter in it. It might be better for them to do whatever. But we're taking all these other things off the table and leaving a cash as is offer is if it is the only solution, that's when we lock it up, and that's why he averages $42,000 a deal, baby. Wholesale. All right, go ahead. Art. I saw Art pop up. Art Armstrong. Yeah, that's a powerful name. I like that, Art. How do you guys feel about Colorado market, mainly Denver?
I haven't touched it.
It's hot. That's all I know.
No, I mean, here's the thing with Denver. Denver is one of those top cities. I think if you're going to cut your teeth with wholesaling or sourcing deals, I would go on the outskirts. I would go in the surrounding areas, some of the smaller areas. I would go for price points that are under or around 400,000 and below. That's where I'm seeing a lot of my students are having a lot of success, is in the surrounding where there's more cash buyers because the prices are less, so they have to put less down and put less into the rehabs. And not all of them have raised as much funds as the young gentleman at the end. But it's I think it's a fantastic market. I would cut your teeth somewhere else, and I would highly suggest, once you do start crushing it, Art, or maybe you already are, I would invest in those really good neighborhoods. I think that there is power behind buying in good school districts. I think that the appreciation is stronger. I think the people are more respectful to the properties, and I think that there are a lot less headaches when you buy in good school districts and good areas. So some strategy there. It might not make sense from a cash flow sense as compared to something like Memphis or St. Louis or something like that. But I think buying a lot of those properties is a trap, and I think it's a nightmare, and I don't want you to go through that nightmare, Art. I want you to buy good properties that don't take up your whole life. because time is more important. There you go. I went down a rabbit hole there, guys.
Perfect.
That's a good
Amen.
There you go. Amen. All right. Guillermo.
All right. I was wholesaling by myself, and now I'm working for a company that wholesales, and I'm not happy. I thought I needed help, but I'm learning that I could do it myself with people I can have fun with. Any tips? I think that you just walk yourself right through it. The whole reason that I always think it's important to join a team is to learn the structure, systems, and processes, obviously camaraderie of working around like-minded people, understand you guys are all going towards the same goal. But if you're feeling as if that company is not providing the value, and more importantly, you're not happy, you could do this on your own very well. And guess what? If your company is offering you a certain amount of money, go find somebody to JV with and partner up with. Squad up. Go find somebody that's in your market, and that might be more valuable than being on the team, especially, like I will reiterate, if it's not making you happy.
What do you think? Because this is like the opposite of what your experience has been.
I mean, I think it just depends, you know? Like, if he's in a spot where he feels that he can go do it himself, why not? I mean, it's if you feel that you can do it, I would say go ahead. It's just when you're starting off, like, right away. That's when I think you should go latch onto someone that's crushing it.
For sure. You joined a team right when you started?
Literally right
and
when
then
I
that's
started.
when I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Actually, we had the same thing. We were both ISAs. Like, you get in, you learn how it works, and then when you feel comfortable, or maybe, like myself, I wasn't even comfortable when I took the leap. I was just like, you know what? Where I'm currently at is not where I'm supposed to be. And that's when I took that.
Well, and like what Brent said, go find, maybe this is the remedy, is go find someone that has some financial backing or has some money or just their own money, and they don't have as much deal flow as you can provide, and just say, hey, look, I want to do these deals.
Yep.
You have some money, like, let's partner up. If you can find a partner, that'd be great. Or go interview other companies if you want the support from a wholesale company and you don't want to have that overhead and you don't want to have that stress. Go interview some other companies. There's a lot of options.
And Guillermo, you know, the first sentence there is kind of throwing me off. You wholesaled by yourself, and then you went.
Wholesaling.
He was doing it himself.
Yep.
Then he went to work for a company, so something was happening there, and now you've seen that company is maybe not what you had expected. So, you know, sometimes we expect that everything's going to be remedied by going into another company, and they don't really have the leadership, or they don't really have the systems or the time, or they're on vacation half the time, like most real estate people.
Right, no, seriously.
I mean, honestly,
Seriously.
like that was a big issue when I was coming up in my early 20s. I was like trying to be like, okay, I need to be around these mentors, and the mentors were always not working. I was like, what is going on here? They were at that position, though. You know what I mean? So I think also what I learned from that experience, Guillermo, was I had to do it all myself, and I had to see that I had to like be loud enough to get their recognition to when they wanted to invest time and effort and money into me. And then from there, I just broke free of them and just outpaced them by the work. So I think putting in the work, getting loud, getting what you can from them, and if they're at a position where maybe you want to blow past them, or maybe they're just not in a position, they're just not really good coaches, and maybe that's what you need, then just do your thing, man. But it's all action. You know, the happiness comes from providing value to the marketplace, and that comes from picking up the phone and crushing. I'm sure you are. Just stay on the path. You know, there's some days are tougher than others, but just keep pushing. Yep.
Cool.
Rogelio, yeah, that check was. That's right. Come on, brother. I love it. Congratulations. That's awesome. Thanks for putting that on there, Alejandra.
Colby.
What's your IG?
Colby.
It's Colby, like the cheese.
Yeah, that's cool.
COLBYMC10.
There you go.
My IG.
Can we put that? I don't know if we can comment on our own thing. But there you go. What are your thoughts on getting into the Grand Rapids, Michigan market virtually? Herman, any idea, guys?
I always like to advise to get familiar in your backyard before you go virtual. So I don't know enough of obviously your backstory of, sure, you're crushing it, but if you're not and you're trying to just get started in this, I would say find somebody that's in your local market before you go virtual. But aside from that, I mean, I've had some success with like friends that have done deals in Grand Rapids. It's not my cup of tea. I'm just not really in that Midwest market yet. If I was, I'd probably be going for these like Iowa,
Yeah, my thoughts are make sure you're going after properties that ARV over 200,000. And the issue with a lot of the properties in the Midwest is, you know, when our country was blossoming, there was a lot of industry in the Midwest. There was a lot of jobs. There was a lot of blue-collar jobs, and then those moved overseas. So the properties there have been there a long time, but you don't see a lot of new builds. So those properties just kind of, you know, the population just kind of recycles those properties, and the appreciation doesn't go up a tremendous amount. But if you're seeing that there is some bigger companies going to Grand Rapids, if you're seeing some big economies going to Grand Rapids, those are the trends and the things that you want to follow and find. You can find that on YouTube. You can find that on Google. You can find that anywhere. Just find where industry and jobs are and new house growth is going, and that's where you should be going, and stay above 200,000, because in wholesale, typically we make 10%. So if you're going after $50,000 houses, which is a lot, then it's a $5,000 deal for the same amount of effort that you could go after a $200,000 house, make $20,000. So if you want to start growing and scaling and doing big things and having enough net income to go and invest in assets so that you can build financial freedom and freedom of schedule, it starts with getting bigger deals and more of them. So go after the bigger deals, all right? Christopher, how exactly do you comp an apartment complex? It's a smaller complex, but from my understanding, with larger multifamily, it's based off the revenue it generates.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you'll take your income, so the revenue. It depends on if you're gonna. I would look at it from as is, so like current rent roll, current expenses, income. So your income minus your expenses, that's your NOI, your net operating income. You divide that by purchase price, that's going to be your cap rate. So I would look at as is and then make like a pro forma, so of expected rents if you renovate them, or if they're just undervalued, just what the expected rents are, and do that pro forma, figure out what that cap rate looks like, and then figure out what's trading in the marketplace. So you always want your pro forma to be higher than what they're trading for, because then that's what you're going to sell it for once it's stabilized, if you were going to sell it.
And once you get into it just depends on the size, Christopher, but once you get into commercial size deals, right, where it's a commercial lending, it's bigger price points, you're going to find, and it's very interesting, like 80% of those deals are seller financing. You know, people that get those properties and do a good job of paying those things down are completely off a lot of times. They don't want to not get paid on that deal over time. They have enough bulk cash, I guess I could say. So listen, I always love this. I always love this conversation. I think it should be talked about more. Like, price or terms. If you just want to give them a cash offer, sure, learn how to comp and whatever. But terms, dude, you could offer them $100 million that you pay over the next 10,000 years at $1,000 a month. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you could structure a deal like that. Yep. You know, so I mean, price doesn't really matter if the terms are long enough. So when you're getting into those apartment type deals, remember, do they want to see if there's an avenue for creative financing, for owner financing, and see what makes sense to them, and see if they're willing to play. And if they are, I think that you could really build some momentum, Christopher, for real. You can really build momentum if you start putting together some seller finance deals on some bigger properties. Yeah.
Love it.
Isaiah.
All right. How do you give cash buyers a walkthrough on a property that you're not close to? How often do you file affidavit of memorandums for purchase agreements? Two separate questions. So first one, I would say boots on the ground. Whether, for me in this instance, I would say a realtor, obviously, for our business model is probably what we're looking for boots on the ground. Now, if it was maybe direct to seller, boots on the ground could just be another wholesaler. It could be another investor. It could be someone that you just know in that market.
Or the seller.
Yeah, it could even be the seller.
Hey, and my partner wants to stop by. Can he come in?
Could do. There's many different options there. It's just about getting creative, obviously. Do you guys have different answers on that one?
On the walkthrough?
Yeah.
No. Find somebody that you trust and have them open it up. I really like working with real estate agents if it's not in the market that I'm working in. And with the intention that They could flip any properties. We can send them referrals for any deals that just want retail and build that relationship, especially if you're there. If it's another market that you're just kind of, it's like a one-off, like you talk to somebody in town here, but they have a property in Nevada, I would find a wholesaler in Nevada and split the deal with them. I really would. I would be like, hey, listen, you've got the buyers, you do the walkthrough, you handle everything. Let's JV on this deal and make it super easy. And filing an affidavit. I feel like an affidavit is like, and I'm more of I probably bring more emotion to real estate than I should, but I feel like an affidavit of memorandums, like people like, I do the purchase agreement and then I file the memorandum. I feel like that's like a prenup. You know what I mean? Like you're expecting things to go bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a weird mental trick, but I also think that like if somebody, and I think this is the same with dating or being whatever. If they don't think you're the best, then what's the point? Yeah. You know what I mean? If they're dating other offers on the side and people are giving them more and they're taller or sexier or whatever than you, then whatever. Find somebody that you know. There's plenty of people that'll think that you're awesome in business. Probably not in whatever romance, but whatever. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I would just say that it sets things up in a negative tone, I think. But a lot of smart business people that I know around the country that are very analytical mind love protecting their efforts, love protecting their investment in their marketing that they've made into these deals, and they protect it with the umbrella of a memorandum. But I've done maybe, I think, one or two out of 1,500 deals.
I just had a deal a couple of months ago. I would have made $28,000 on it. And the seller just would not sign closing docs. And I talked to my attorney. I was like, look, like, what should I do? He's like, you can file an affidavit of memorandum. I'm like, you know what? It's kind of more a headache to deal with that. Yeah. And whatever. It's like, let's just let it go and move on to the next deal. Yeah. There's always more deals. Yeah.
Vasily. Go ahead. Oh, here we go.
I came across an MLS deal for $499,000 here in Sacramento. Needs $115,000 in renovations. How do I get the agent to understand my discounted offer?
Albert's dying.
Yeah, Albert's dying. Yeah. Albert, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Here's the way I have that conversation with that agent, because sometimes it may be a new agent, maybe an old agent, and it may they're doing the best, right? They're trying to get their seller the most amount of money for their property, and it's all about when they set the expectations with the seller. Now you have to understand that seller now thinks he or she is going to get that for their property. So when I talk to the agent, I like to see what their headspace is at. So my line is, when I talk to them, hey, what offers have you had on the table? And then I go through it and I ask them, you've been to this property, correct? I'm assuming because you have photos and everything. I get them to say, yeah, I've been there. And then I go, so can we both agree this property needs just a little bit of love to get it up to today's design trends? And that line with a little hint of sarcasm there breaks the tension. And that kind of tells you where that headspace of where that agent is. Are they like, yeah, that's... Yeah, and then I had it once where the agent actually told me, like, yeah, the seller just wanted me to put it there. I understand it's overpriced, and they opened it up, the conversation, and then the flip side of that, the agent can be a little more restrictive in that answer and talk and say, yeah, but I mean, just a little bit of flooring and a little bit of cabinets will do it good, and that kind of tells you, okay, that's where your headspace is at, and from there on, that's now your bench point. Now you can work on saying, all right, well, I see this house over here has sold this much. Do you think the same renovations can bring it to that standard? It's all about opening up the conversations, letting them think, educating them, and think that said, listen, $10,000 is not going to put, a waterfall countertop edge on this and make this kitchen, where it is. So setting expectations, learning where the headspace is at, where the expectations has been set with the seller, and then negotiating from there.
Well, and does it matter how long it's been on the market?
Yes.
Right.
Day one on market, you're not going to get them $50,000 below list price.
What about day 14?
Probably not. I would say 30 plus. And I would say also, too, what we find a lot of success with our MLS offers, this actually just happened yesterday. We got a call back from an agent. Oh, so-and-so fell through. And I was like, we told you they weren't going to go through because they're paying too much money. Right. They called us back. Our offer was $25,000 lower than the other. We came up $5K, and we are waiting just now on a signature. But it's those deals that come back around that we find are usually the better. I think what Albert said was perfect. It's E&E. expectations, and education.
It's also who priced it. Did the listing agent price it?
Right.
Or did the owner price it?
9 times out of 10.
So when a listing agent prices it, they're going to drag it out as much as possible because they don't want to prove that they were wrong about their value at $499. But if the agent went in and say, "Hey, listen, Gary, this house is worth $350. It's worth $350. That's what we can sell it for." And Gary's like, no. Listen, it is worth $499 if it's worth $1. I know values. I know the market is extreme, and I know that we can get a good amount out of this. All right, and then no offers come around, and then you come in at 119 under their offer or whatever it is, and then the agent goes back to Gary and is like, "Gary, listen, we don't have anything on this. These are the current comps. This is what I'm seeing. This is how much repairs need to be going into this thing. I think that this is going to be a decent offer. What do you think? Do you know?" Are we getting close here? Is this something that we can work with? And then, it's up to Gary deciding if he, is going to hold on to this thing or if he's going to get rid of it. It depends on the motivation. So it depends on, I think, asking the question and being buddy with the real estate agent helps a lot to see, okay, what's going on here? Is this agent, is there a lot of ego built into this conversation, into this price? Or is it the ego of the seller or expectations of the seller? So there's a couple things to play with there. Just talk to them and ask them some good questions. Just find out, what they're going to do. Do they have any expected price reductions coming up? If you came in with an offer around, 180, is that something that they would even look at or probably not?
Right.
And then pull away and then just be like, listen. And then the agent goes, "Oh, well, I told him." Yeah. Listen, I told him.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Agents will tell you.
Dude, they throw them under the bus all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
On the MLS, too, it's sometimes not about all the price because we get terms that we get to play with. And so if you're going to hit them with a low price, hit them with the best terms possible. The recent deal that we just closed, I talked to the agent on the phone. I knew they were moving. So I'm like, "Hey, how does moving assistance sound?" And immediately the conversation changed. Suddenly my price was not too far off because I was able to hit that.
Can you put the camera on, Alejandro?
I'll hit that convenience button to them. And, once I talk to her, the agent, I understand the story. And it's like, "Hey, here's $300 for U-Haul. How does that sound?" And she probably like, "Oh my gosh, they would love that."
Didn't that get the price down like $20,000?
Yeah, that price got it down $20,000 just
got it
because
$20,000.
the convenience of in the terms. I'll give you moving
MLS
systems.
deal. MLS deal.
It's incredible.
It's the terms.
Yeah.
Give to get.
Dang.
Creating win-win situations.
Lobo, currently just finishing up my engineering degree, but the other day I found out that making 6 figs a year doesn't mean you're rich. Haha. Feel like I wasted some years of my life. What do you think, Colby?
I feel like it's all about what you want to do with your life. I mean, you can take your engineering degree and making 6 figures a year and go buy some real estate with it and put yourself in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how quickly you want to get there. You know, and you can even do it on the side if you want to get. I mean, you go to school for 4 years. It's like I don't know if you paid cash for it or whatever. You're in debt. It's like you should. It's crazy how many people don't use their degree.
Of course.
I think it's so interesting.
Of course.
It's ridiculous.
Me too.
Yeah, and so it's like, all right, fine. You can go do your engineering degree, or if you want to get into real estate, you can do both at the same time. It just really depends on what you want to do. If you have the financial security to not go make 6 figures a year, good for you. Go do real estate. If you want to have some additional security and some additional ability to go buy real estate and a W-2 job, making money. 6 figures a year, you can go buy a ton of properties.
Right.
I mean, you can go buy some rentals, go buy some flips.
Partner up with people that find deals, and you be the money partner.
100%. Yeah, W-2, you can go get some good terms on loans.
And don't feel like you wasted years of your life. It was just a stepping stone. That's all. Everybody has their own path. Yeah. I didn't go to college. He went for a year. Brent went to college. Albert went to college. We're all here. We're all in the same room. You have your own path, and this is where we go back to don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 15. Saying you wasted your years, no. You've got a job that's paying 6 figures, and now you're also going to say you're not rich. Yeah, out of college, and you're going to say you're not rich. There's people I know that need $20,000 a year that make 40.
He's finishing up.
That are just
he's just saying the jobs that are available
that are going to pay 6 figures. But still, there's guys that make 6 figures that can live a very lavish lifestyle. I mean, the average salary in the country is what, 45?
It also just depends on what brings you joy.
Yeah.
I mean, happiness is dope, but happiness, you can get happiness from, drinking a soda or eating a good sandwich. That's happiness. Joy is like really getting fulfillment. Joy is like that ongoing, like you're just like, I can't believe I'm living this life. Like your relatives and your family and your friends are like, what do you do all day? What do you how do you do this? How are you traveling so much, and how are you going and doing these experiences and living this life? You know what I mean? So if you feel like you've got this engineering degree and they're going to put you at the bottom of some company that you don't want, you're going to feel like they're like stepping on your neck every day. Well, then, dude, pick up the phone, start making calls, find an ugly house, talk to the property owner, see if they consider an offer, and then from there, figure out which exit strategy you want to do. If you want to wholesale and build up some cash, great. If you want to partner with somebody, flip the property, get some cash, great. Or if you want to add it to a rental portfolio, fantastic. But, at the end of the day, we've only got a certain amount of time. All the stuff that we have, the watches, the cars, the houses, the portfolio, all that stuff evaporates the second we die.
Yep.
And we can't take it. We're just renting it for the time that we're here, right? And interesting stat. Will you put up that graphic? I'm glad that I'm reminded of this. This is bananas from Robert Kiyosaki yesterday, showing you. Everybody talks about legacy. Legacy. Will you pull out? There you go. 77% of people who inherit their family wealth lose it in 3 years. 3 years, guys. Like, you want to talk about legacy? First of all, if you're not building a legacy of how to be financial literacy with your children, the people that you're going to be passing down all of these gifts and all these rewards and all of the work, the trophies that show the efforts that you put into this world through your life, you better teach them some financial literacy. You better teach them to go out there and be able to hunt themselves.
Yep.
Because if they're soft, 77% of them evaporate that in 36 months. People's fortunes disappear in 36 months of them passing.
I remember there's a saying that I forgot where I heard it, but the faster the money comes in, the faster it leaves.
Sure.
So it doesn't teach you the value. The faster you get it, you've probably given it, you want it some way, but you didn't go through the work to earn it, to understand wow, this is what millions of dollars feels like, and suddenly you'll spend it like it's nothing because the way you got it wasn't exactly as hard earned as someone who built a company from ground zero, someone who went to college, got their degree, and worked for years to climb the corporate ladder to make that.
Yep.
So there's time involved in losing. So that stat doesn't really surprise me in that sense. We're big spenders when we make $30,000 a year. You're still going to be a big spender when you make $30 million a year. It's the same thing.
Well, people get inheritances. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. Half of it's gone in taxes anyway.
Well, yeah, sure, but there's ways to protect some of that. Anyway,
This is a two-part question.
Esther, I want to start with real estate. Do you recommend for me to become an agent?
Probably got some different answers here. My answer is yes, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Part two's up here.
Or just find deals and try to get buyers and be with them 50%. Okay.
My answer changes.
Okay.
It depends on what your goals are now. Because I was going to say, if you're just asking me in general, should I get licensed because I'm getting into real estate? My answer will always be yes. I use the reference of tools on the tool belt. I would like to go in when I'm talking with sellers, and 90% of the time, the biggest kickback is going to be price. It's not going to be motivation for what we find. It's going to be price. So then from there, us being licensed, again, working mostly with on-market deals, we flip our hat around. Hello, nice to meet you. Now I'm Ryan, the real estate agent, not Ryan, the investor. So I would say for me, obviously in our business model, especially being MLS and working with agents, being licensed all day long, and it's the cheapest marketing channel out there. But that's my opinion.
What do you think, Colby?
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what I would say.
Is that why when you got started, did you know you wanted to go investment first, or did you have the vision of being the real estate agent?
Honestly, I thought of it as, I thought there were more people that wanted to sell their house for the most amount of money than wanted to give it away to wholesalers. That's how I like my thought process going into it. So that's what I was like,
I had no idea what wholesaling was. So I didn't even
Yeah.
know about the investment side until about 3 years in.
Yeah.
So I was like just the realtor that was like open houses, Starbucks.
Yeah.
Go look at these property.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yep. What about you?
Esther, I think long term, at some point, they're going. If you're going to be going at, it depends. If you're flipping properties, it's an advantage because you can list your own properties.
Yep.
If you are going to be doing wholesale, I see over the next 5-10 years that they're going to require a license to wholesale and to go through a brokerage. Not because it's like gray area, but because the National Association of Realtors wants a slice of everything. So, but I think it's an advantage. And I think, for the 90 hours of school and let's call it 20, 30 hours of studying for the tests and passing them, for 120 hours, you have your license forever. You have to keep it updated with some continuing education.
24 hours.
But 120 hours to get your license. I don't think it's that big of it's and I'm not talking like I'm literally talking 120 hours, like hours. You know what I mean? And that's less than the amount of time in a week.
Let's make it relevant to the topic of the show.
Yeah.
College versus going to be an entrepreneur. If you don't mind sharing, yearly tuition, GCU 40, 30. In-state was probably like 20.
I think it's 20, yeah.
So in-state 20, and then out-of-state probably like 30, 40.
Probably.
Yeah.
So 30, 40 out-of-state. $1,500
Yeah.
all in for real estate?
Yeah. No, I mean the cost isn't even.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the number one asset is student loan debt. For the federal government. But the
there's no negative to it.
Yeah.
It's like it's only going to benefit you.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to invest in properties and without doing it, and you don't want to allocate time to that, then fine.
For sure. You'll end up spending some more money not being licensed, obviously commissions and fees and stuff. But
yeah,
I mean,
if you're licensed, all you have to do is disclose
Literally.
that you're licensed.
Right. Awesome. Christopher, when wholesaling virtually, what is the best way to manage showings and other due diligence when you have a potential buyer and owner is out of state as well, property is vacant? Easy. Ask them permission, written permission, to put a contractor lockbox on that property. That's it.
that is literally it.
That's it. And then I would probably schedule for a specific time, a 2-hour block that you want all your buyers to go to. That way they're just, you see what happens is if you're like, yeah, it's on lockbox, here's the lockbox code, blah, 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 and some smoke and deal, the first dude that goes there takes the key.
Yep.
It happens all the time.
Or,
so, I would either have 2 or 3 lockboxes stashed around the house for the one that you lose, or just set it up for a 2-hour window.
That's what I would do.
Because they'll be like, no, I put it back
and
in
also
the
too,
lockbox.
what happens
I
if,
didn't take the key.
What if
I'd
you
love
send
to
it to
buy
a guy and then they send it out to somebody else and they send the code
Yeah.
and then it just gets passed around?
Yeah.
And
Which will happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the window idea.
Yep.
All right, from Isaiah, how do you find hedge fund buyers? My market is SoCal, and some hedge funds are paying near retail for some properties. Would love to know more about successfully wholesaling in SoCal. It's a grind. Isaiah, dude, SoCal, I've got some connections. If you want to reach out to me on social media, I can gladly connect you to some people out there. Hedge funds are definitely paying stupid money. We are seeing out here 104% of retail. So, I mean, that's obviously where we can tell you those numbers specific because we're competing against actual retail buyers. As for finding hedge fund buyers, or I would say, honestly, like, I don't know about you guys, but out here, I could ask probably 20 people, and 3 or 4 of them are going to say, I know hedge funds, or I'm representing a hedge fund, or I'm writing offers for hedge funds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might just be the running theme of today's show again, but TTP.
Yeah, I mean, and you can also, typically the hedge funds are going to have a buyer's agent. So I would just see... So you can kind of backtrack. If you go and you pull up and you see hedge funds bought a certain property in your area or whatever else, put that address into Google, find out who the buyer's agent was that sold them that, and just call them up. That's the connection. All of them are going to have buyer's agents that review the deals and manage the transaction. So I would just find the buyer's agent and make buddy and just see how good they are at communicating. And they do. I mean,
there's some serious value in working with hedge fund buyers. There's a guy that's at our brokerage. Shout out to Matthew Potter. I mean, this dude's done over $100 million in sales this year just from working with a hedge fund buyer. Now, he still has his traditional business, but I mean, that's probably call it 80, 90 million in hedge fund buyer in 1 year.
Yeah, we just had Matthew on the wholesale hotline Monday.
Awesome.
Yep.
Crazy.
All right. I'm just starting in wholesaling. How do you find out a property own if they passed on, and only info that comes up is the deceased. So what are they saying there?
Basically, somebody passed away. How do you find the heirs?
Okay.
Right?
So I guess it depends if it went to probate.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, you want to look at see if it's coming in through probate or if it gets inherited. If it gets inherited, it's going to be a lot quicker. You're going to see that it's going to turn over and the names are going to pop up sooner. If it's going through probate, then you're going to have to run that race.
Buckle up.
Because that could take a while.
And if you're looking on it, if you're doing it manually and you go on like Fast People Search or Spokio or whatever, one of these skip tracing sites, you can put the address in. It'll show you the deceased owner's name and just look at this people that
it has
are associated.
It's like, oh, it's so and so,
family
and
members.
so and so and so and so.
Yeah, I would call a family member and say, hey, I would say I saw you're the owner of this property.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, oh, I don't own it.
Don't call and be like, Grandpa
My
died.
aunt does.
Yeah.
Awesome. Reno.
You got it?
Should you go down the rabbit hole on vacant properties where the owner has passed and it's difficult to find the heirs? Well, there you go. Back to back, the same question.
Yeah.
So where do you find the heirs?
You can go to like fastpeoplesearch.com and that's a free
yeah.
that's a free service.
Yeah.
Spokio, I think I pay like $50 a month or something.
Yeah.
And it's just these basically skip tracing
Or
individual
TruePeople
properties.
search,
Yeah, there's a ton of the sites.
AmericanTracers.com for one-offs. Obviously, pull them from batch skip tracing. It's going to be .com that gives you the most accurate. A lot of those free sites, they get updated every 100 years or whatever. So you run into a lot of frustration because you're calling a lot of dead or disconnected numbers or whatever else. I guess that is dead numbers, whatever. I'm just saying the same thing twice. Anyway, just try to find out who the other family members are and then call them. Yep.
Sometimes I have luck calling the neighbors because I don't know what it is, but before people used to be really neighborly where they know everything in the neighborhood, and I have found that when you just talk to the neighbor, sometimes they'll understand, like, oh yeah, that was Aunt Patty, and you're just like, oh, I heard she passed away, and, like, do you know everything? And sometimes the neighbors know a lot that will give you information.
Yeah.
Happened to me before, and I'm like, wow, neighbors really do know everything.
They do.
Totally.
Yep. Bola. I'm an artist, and I went to a Fortune Builders workstation a couple of months ago, and I have yet to do any wholesaling because I don't have the capital start. Can I start with $0 anyway?
Yes.
Colby, come on. What do you think?
I mean, of course.
I mean, you had a lot of money starting.
Yeah, right. I'm like, wait, what? No, I definitely did it. I look, it's just either you're going to have the competence and confidence to go find deals and bring them to people that have the money, and you're going to get a fee. Or go work with someone that's doing exactly what you want to do and just learn from them. You'll get paid, right? I mean, obviously, most of the time. So it's just find
you'll
deals.
get paid knowledge if you don't get paid money. But also, too, like, I mean, you don't need money at all to start. It's just squatting up with people. And go, like Brent always says, go drive for dollars.
Yeah.
That's, like, don't even get behind a car. Albert and I were talking about this with people on the team. You have those scooters, the birds, go get a bird. Go walk for dollars. Like, there's so many opportunities out there. You're just looking for distressed homes. Go and knock on their door. Hello, do you want to sell your house? Yes? Guess what? You don't even need to know what you're doing. You could step out and call another wholesaler and say, hey, they said they want to sell their house. I don't know.
Can you help?
Yeah, can you help me?
100%.
And
Call any of us.
Yeah,
We're happy to help. Anybody in this business is here to grow their business and help other people grow.
Definitely.
And we love deals. Deals are the best. God, deals are the best. I love them. As many as possible. The best ones. Do you guys recommend us getting life insurance at a young age, like 18, or should we wait? Do you guys have life insurance?
That is a solid question. I've got a good buddy of ours, Devin, that does life insurance. I've weighed out the pros and cons. I will tell you that for me, what I've come to the conclusion with, it makes sense if you have money to put into it. If you don't have money to put into it, because obviously it depends on what kind of life insurance policy you're talking about. Are you talking about whole or life? Are you planning on investing with this and then pulling it back out? Like, what is your goal with the life insurance? If it's going to be just to have something to cover you, you're young. Probably not. But if you're looking to benefit and take this and invest with it, Sure, but keep in mind, you probably need, I forget what the numbers are that Devin was talking about, but it's on average like minimum $300 a month you're going to need to be putting into this.
Yep.
So just be mindful of that. If you have it to play with, absolutely. I haven't done it myself because I would rather take the money that I have on the side to play with and invest it into real estate, let that build up, and then down the road, absolutely.
Yep.
But I can make the same argument, though. I mean, if you go in and it's compounding, I mean, I could look back and be like, man, I lost 10 years. So just depends on the situation.
I have a whole wealth management team. So, at that, of course, but I don't know about it. I don't want to know about it. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I trust, people that do. So I would find somebody, if you're interested in that, Helio, I would talk to somebody that has it and likes it and understands the ins and outs of it.
I haven't seen many people, like young guys, like jumping into that space. So
at 18?
18,
No.
absolutely not. No.
More people are. It's
becoming
more known, for sure.
One more. What are the biggest issues wholesaling probates? Patience.
Yeah.
Isaiah, that is the biggest issue. No, the biggest issue is it takes a long time. So if you lock up a deal early on in the process, don't be surprised if that gets wiggly. It gets shaky because they're going to get a bazillion calls, a bazillion letters, a bazillion texts, a bazillion people having different, thoughts and ideas and whatever else from the family. So my suggestion is let them go through all of that, and when they're ready to close, they should have a date. That's when you want to lock it up, because if you lock it up too early, time kills all deals. A lot of times they back out unless you have an unbelievable relationship with them and they're like living under a rock type of thing.
Right.
But for the most part, it gets real sour real quick if you lock it up too early, or if you give them the price that you would want to lock it up too early. Because a lot of people go, well, let's wait until the paperwork's done and then I'll sign the agreement. I don't want to you put the cart before the horse type of thing, right? And then you were, well, what if I gave you $150,000? And they're like, yeah, that'd be good. I'm writing it down. Okay, $150,000. Okay, I've got your number. I'll give you a call once we get close. And then you keep following up, and they're like, well, we got $160,000, $162,500. We've got $172,000. We'd love to work with you, but we'd like to get some more out of it. And then they're like, give us $200 and it's yours. And you're like, wow, that's not a deal, right? So don't give up your price too early. Got it?
Totally.
Good?
Absolutely.
Good. Thanks for being on here, brother.
Thank you.
That's
it.
90 minutes,
Thank
up
you,
and
gentlemen.
done. We love you guys. Listen, let's put up real quick, Alejandro, do you have the graphic of the blueprint? Millionaire Before 30 blueprint. Can you pull that up? Boom. This is it right here. First, just do a deal. Start with something. Do something. I don't care if it's real estate or it's something else. Just get some income coming into your life. Provide some value.
Yep. And then from there, obviously switching full time. As you guys know, I mean, we are able to only provide value with our time. And the more time you have available, the more income you should be able to provide, produce, and obviously keep. From there, once you're full time, the goal is obviously to minimize your debt.
Kill the debt. Kill your consumer debt. Really watch it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you drive. Nobody cares about the clothes or whatever else. You're either awesome or you're not. All right? So don't hide behind all of these things because it's hollow and it really doesn't matter. So watch the consumer debt, kill the consumer debt, get rid of it, get it out of your life. You can't get wealthy if you're making other people wealthy on all this consumer things. You just you're literally spending money instead of investing your money.
Absolutely.
Next.
From there, you're investing into your assets. Obviously, you kill the debt, get down to ground zero. The goal is that you're going to take what you have as income and basically just do exactly what I said, invest it into assets. Those assets should be providing income then for you. And then the goal from there is obviously that leads you to the end all be all goal of financial freedom.
Financial freedom,
Financial
baby.
freedom,
Yes,
baby.
Boom.
That's it. So that's it. That's for our show. Join us next week. It's going to be an incredible show. We love you guys. Go out there, take some serious action. Thank you, Colby, for being on
Thank
here.
you guys.
Albert,
Have a great day,
for
everybody.
always being exceptional. We'll see you next time, guys. Love you guys.
Cheers.
See ya.
Up a check, I might do it again.
Oh.
Enemies close, have me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up,